So you're thinking about moving to Orange County, California, and whenever you move anywhere, you're almost always thinking, should I buy right away or should I rent? That is a question that's always on everyone's mind. So what we're going to do in this video is we're going to talk about the benefits of renting versus the benefits of buying, and then if you stay to the end, we're going to explain to you why it might be a good idea not to buy right away. I know that's a little bit, it seems weird coming from realtors, but we're going to talk about that at the end.
So stay tuned.
So obviously, let's talk about budget, right? I mean, what are the costs to renting? I mean, Orange County ain't cheap, right? And then the security deposits, right?
Yes, exactly. So obviously, when people think about renting, you have to depending on what you have. So if you have a pad or depending on the particular property that you're thinking about. If it's an apartment, maybe the security deposit is pretty minimal. However, if you're renting a house, for instance, or some owner, like some individually owned property, they tend to have rather exorbitant expenses. So they have maybe a pet deposit, they have security deposit, first month, last month, and that security deposit can be rather high. So before you know it, between all these costs, you're maybe in effect almost dealing with closing costs for purchasing a property.
And then let's talk about how the prices of rentals, no matter if you're in Orange County or you're anywhere in the country, tend to go up, right?
Yes, over time, rents tend to kind of mimic the housing market where they keep on going up, and even during the pandemic, we saw rental prices skyrocket. And
even during 2008, right?
Yeah, we saw rents go. Even when property values went down, rents kept going up at that time. So what we're talking about here is that when you're renting a property, you don't really have that feeling of certainty that budget that you have is going to be what it's going to be in the future. So you have a certain budget in mind. You get a property that kind of fits that budget. But that next year, after your lease is up, maybe you might have to owe a couple $100s more per month, possibly even more. A friend of mine, he had a situation where he was locked in, he had a great landlord. The landlord was really nice, really chill, and he told him, hey, don't worry about it, we're gonna keep your rent the same, you're covered, I got you. Unfortunately, that landlord had a divorce, so husband and wife divorced, and part of the whole divorce procedures was selling off that property. So now this person, he had to actually find a new rental paying today's rates, which was just way more. So he had to either come up with a massively higher budget or severely downgrade what he was accustomed to. So that's kind of the thing that you're dealing with a rental, is that uncertainty of, okay, well, what's the rent's gonna be a year, 2 years, 5 years out from now?
And then let's talk about your monthly payment, your monthly rental, your not cheap monthly rental. Where is that money going?
Oh, you make money off that money, right? No, basically, and unfortunately with the monthly payment, your monthly rental payment, that is going to that landlord's mortgage payment and possibly paying off that property or giving them a nice, paying their kids' education, whatever that might be. It's certainly not going to anything that benefits you specifically. You're not paying down equity, nothing like that happens. That monthly payment is basically gone.
And then you may be wondering, because we are licensed realtors here in California, do we work with renters, if you're looking for a rental? So what's the answer?
Yeah, in general, not really, no, because it's just that unfortunately a lot of homeowners, they don't participate. So a lot of apartment complexes, they tend to not, work with realtors, and then a lot of homeowners, they may just rent out the property themselves, or they have property managers that they have their own exclusive way of renting out a property. Not to say that's across the board, it's just that there's a lot of stuff that's missing, and so we could certainly give you some resources to actually find rentals that may fit your needs. But as far as actually being out there finding that property, that's just not something that we specialize in. But having said that, obviously, you can feel free to reach out to us. But every situation is a little bit different, especially if you're needing to rent something for a while before purchasing a property. There's all these different things that we could try to do as much as possible to help you kind of find that solution.
So let's talk about some of the benefits of home ownership, right?
Yes.
So in a rental, you can't really make the house your own, right?
Yes, exactly. So as a rental, that landlord, however you rent that property, chances are that's how it's going to be. So changing the paint color, changing the cabinetry. I don't know why you would do that. I actually knew someone that basically had a rental. They actually were doing full-blown work to the property, and you're going, why are you doing that? It makes no sense, because this is not for your benefit. This is money that's out of your pocket to do this for the landlord, and in fact, they didn't even finish the job, so they were living in a construction area that whole time, so it was just a nightmare. Like, so some people do something kind of quirky. Wouldn't recommend doing anything like that. So in general, what you see is what you get. Like the improvements that are done to a property tend to be done when you move out and the new renter comes in, right? So they may add a fresh coat of paint, change the flooring, some stuff like that. So, but just assume that when you do rent a property, what you see as you move in, that's gonna be where it's gonna be.
Yeah, and then let's talk about another big benefit, and that is you are, over time, building wealth through equity, right?
Yeah, so as we talked about when you're making your payment, that money does not help you at all. You're not getting anything out of that rental money. When you do own a property, especially if you have, let's say, a 30-year fixed loan, basically that, a portion of that payment goes to pay down your principal, which is the overall loan balance of the property. So every payment that you're making is paying down that principal bit by bit. So the idea is that over time, you're building more equity. Because in general, real estate, yes, so it's gonna have its peaks and valleys, of course, but over a long enough snapshot of time, it does go up in value. So you're building equity as well as paying, so the property values in general going up, as well as the pay, what you owe is going down.
And then just to be fair, let's talk about some of the cons of homeownership. I would say one of the biggest ones is if something breaks in your house, right?
Yes.
You have to pay for it, right?
Exactly. So you're now the homeowner, so you're responsible for the property, so you can't call the landlord to say, okay, I have a roof leak. The landlord will take care of that. As a homeowner, that's your responsibility. If the HVAC, if the AC can, the air conditioner goes out, okay, that's on you. You have to take care of it. Otherwise, as a rental, you talk to the landlord and have them take care of it. Now, having said that, it's not like these landlords, again, some landlords are really good at what they do. They're very responsive. Other landlords, they get around to it. And over time, especially if you're paying a depressed, let's say you stayed in a property long enough and you're paying, less rent than really what the market value is, those landlords tend to be a bit less enthusiastic about making these, fixing up the property, taking care of these issues.
Give me rent. You'll get your rent when you fix this damn door.
Because they're in their mind, they're going, well, this person's getting a good deal anyway. Have them live with it, have them figure it out. So just be aware that not every landlord is created equal. So the responsiveness may vary as far as that goes. But as far as a homeowner, yes, it's your responsibility. Now, having said that, one way to mitigate your potential exposure to these kind of things is basically getting a home warranty plan. Because what a home warranty plan can do, it's like a yearly fee, like $500 to $1,000, depending on the size of the property per year. But what's nice is that it kind of covers a lot of the, let's say the HVAC system, may cover some of your appliances and that kind of stuff. So if something does happen, you would call the home warranty, and again, if it's covered, they would come out, they would send a technician out to fix it, and it's like a minimal service charge for them to come out. Now, again, they don't cover everything, so obviously if you want to kind of figure out what these different home warranty plans offer, reach out to us so we can kind of help you kind of understand what that is. And in fact, obviously, feel free to call those home warranty plans directly and just kind of get a sense of what they offer, because of course, they don't cover everything.
And then obviously another big benefit of homeownership is that if you have to move and you decide you don't want to sell the house, you can always rent it out, right?
Yeah, obviously, depending on what the rents are compared to what your payment is, you may have a surplus, you may have a little bit of a negative. Obviously, we're not gonna tell you that you're guaranteed.
Orange County is, because it's so expensive, it is sometimes hard to match the mortgage, right?
Depending, but over time, again, but that's what people say initially, like year one of home ownership. Mm-hmm. But year 10, year 15, you tend to be sitting pretty, again, in general over time. So what people do, they kind of start to build their little real estate empire. They start to have one home, then they upgrade or move up to another home, but they keep that one as a rental to kind of get some income and have some sort of source of where that can be a nice little bit of equity. Mm-hmm. And so over time, they have 4 or 5 properties. And what's cool too is that as you own up properties, and over time, that you start to develop, not only paying down the equity, the loan balance on those properties, but also you start getting some positive cash flow going too. So, the idea is that, hey, you don't have to work anymore and money's just coming in.
Or another thing, let's say you do want to move and you do want to sell it. One great benefit is that when you sell it, you get the profit, right? You can use that profit to buy your new home.
Yes, and having said that, what's interesting is that there's a bunch of different ways to play this. So we're not, caveat, we're not accountants, we're not CPAs, so we're not going to give you tax advice per se. There are programs that we can kind of direct you to professionals that may minimize or outright eliminate all the like gains that you've gotten that property depending on your situation. That's why you got to reach out to us so we can kind of have that conversation and obviously refer to the professional that could help you navigate that situation. But you may be able to make like hundreds of thousands of dollars either and not pay taxes either by it being deferred or actually outright not having to pay for it at all.
We're going to answer that question, why it might not actually be a good time to buy immediately.
Right now, yeah,
immediately.
Exactly.
So let's say you're watching this video, you're thinking about moving to Orange County, but you're concerned that I'm gonna purchase in the wrong spot. Like maybe you're thinking everywhere from, I don't know, San Clemente, which is really far south, all the way up to Yorba Linda, and you're like, I don't know, what if I buy the house in Yorba Linda and I don't like it? So, what can you do? But you don't want to get into a long-term rental either, right? Because then you might miss out on that perfect house.
Yeah, so what we're seeing is, just be aware is that yes, the market has, at least at the time of this recording, has softened. However, it doesn't mean that inventory has exploded. So we don't see a ton of new homes hitting the market. In fact, it's been rather muted as far as new homes hitting the market. So I have people reach out to me going, oh, Sean, I was like waiting for, more properties to hit that kind of fit their criteria, and they just haven't, right? So it's not to say that they won't come, it's just that when they do come, they want to be prepared to pounce on that property, because you can't assume that the next perfect property is going to hit in the next couple months.
So how do they do that?
So how do you do that?
What is this rental thing that we're
Oh
talking
yeah,
about?
so basically the way to one way that may make sense, and again, this isn't for everybody, because some people might go, you know what, I know the area well enough, or I feel comfortable to make that plunge right away. But other people go, you know what, I just need to be here. I need to be able to scout the area. So, and I totally get that. That's where you would actually, two things. One, reach out to us, we can get you a hot sheet, so we can actually, depending on the area you're looking for, we can give you some developments that might fit your needs, so you can scout the area yourself, like for a weekend or a week, or whatever that might be, so you can kind of get a sense of the lay of the land, so we kind of give that resource to our clients. But second is that you may be interested in a short-term rental, like something even like an Airbnb, but like a 1 month length Airbnb stay at a particular location, and then in another one at another location, another one at a third location. So you almost have like 3 months, you're kind of sort of getting a feel of different parts of a city or of Orange County itself, where you're kind of like living like the locals do and going, okay, this feels comfortable to me, or you know what, I'm so glad I'm only here for a month, I do not want to be here anymore. So you can kind of like either eliminate or like really like hone in on that perfect property.